चल जीरो से चलते हैं, चल यार खुद से खुद मिलते हैं, तू हंस के जी या रो के जी, इस उम्र को तुझको जीना है. दिस विधु मनोज चोपड़ा वाज एब्सोल्युटली अनरिकॉग्नाइजेबल टू मी. बहुत शिद्दत से, मुश्किल से you reach a place where Sonu Nigam is, and I think it's really unfair. But when you go up from there, you don't respect that that what has gone behind it. I still remember when Sunil Gavaskar used to bat. If they had to go to the washroom, they would hold on, saying, "You know what? धूप में ये लड़का, मेरे को भी याद है, धूप में ये लड़का 82 तक पहुंचा है, और मेरे को, मैं इतना नहीं होल्ड कर सकता." 99% times when I'm composing a film song, I have to think that I'm actually creating a jingle. ताकि वो memorability 30 सेकंड का आता है, उसमें जुबिडुबी पंपर, पल 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 हर. These are kind of jinglish kind of lines. I wanted, प्रदीप सरकार wanted कि यार मैं बंगाल दिखा रहा हूं, तो वो जो एक फोकिश फ्लेवर होता है, भटियाली, जो एस डी बर्मन करते थे पहले, वहां कौन है तेरा मुसाफिर, मेरे को ऐसा एक बिगिनिंग चाहिए. एंड दैट्स व्हेन स्वानंद रोड, एंड स्वानंद खुद इतना अच्छा गाता है, तो हमने कहा कि अब तो अपने आवाज में ही करते हैं, बाद में चेंज कर देंगे.
Shantanu Moitra, welcome to CNN News 18.
थैंक यू विशाल.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you are ending the year with Zero Se Restart, which is releasing in cinemas on December 12th. It's a documentary explaining what actually went behind the scenes of the film 12th Fail. I really like the song Chal Zero Pe Chalte Hain. So then how it all started? Was this song already there, or you actually composed it especially for the film?
No, actually nothing was made for the film, Vishal. It's like, I'll tell you the process. Basically, when 12th Fail was happening, I would always see a bunch of guys constantly shooting. Every meeting, every iota, every second, every nanosecond was being recorded. Be it a Zoom call, be it a normal room conversation, be it just Vinod sitting and staring at the window, there was always a camera rolling. And I would often wonder in my head that, and I know Vinod to be a private guy, I was wondering that how is he doing this? How come there's a camera rolling constantly? And the thing he told me was very interesting. He said that, Shantanu, क्या ना कि ये मेरे टाइप का पिक्चर नहीं है. And this is before 12th Fail has come out, in the process of making 12th Fail. He said पता नहीं क्या होने वाला है, पर अगर मैंने इसको ठीक ठाक बना दी ना, I want a documentation as to how I went about it. That is the reason the cameras are rolling 24 hours. Because this was not his kind of film. Now, look at the irony of it, कि 12th Fail becomes the most popular and talked about film in the last year.
Yeah.
And विनोद के दिमाग में ये आता है कि यार अगर मेरे टाइप का फिल्म नहीं है, तो people who had gone to see a विधु विनोद चोपड़ा फिल्म, उनको भी शौक लगा होगा यार ये क्या फिल्म है. So I want to share with people that what happened. How did this man create a film like this? I want to share the behind the scene. So it started with Just Kohli, who was editing this film in 12th Fail, just doing a BTS kind of an edit for promotion of 12th Fail. शुरुआत यहाँ से हुई है. पर इतना फुटेज था कि उसमें से एक छोटा सा टुकड़ा निकालना was not so easy. And while this process was going on, उनके I think 3rd floor में editing होता था. He was staying in 5th floor. Every day he would come and see क्या हो रहा है, just see what's happening, and he would see a short clip of the BTS. After 2 days he would see another short clip of the BTS. After 2 days he would see another short of the BTS. This idea struck to me कि यार ये तो मैंने unbelievable है, what is happening. So from somewhere down the line he said कि यार forget a promotion for 12th Fail. This is enough material for an independent film. And that is how it happened. And to answer your last question, no, I had not composed this before. Once this film happened, once I saw the film, that's when I composed the song.
So then, as a composer, or what kind of soundscape you designed given that people who will be viewing or watching this film has already experienced the magic of 12th fail.
Actually ना ये बड़ा एक thin line था. I had to do something new, but I could not have done something new totally which moves away from the ethos of 12th fail. तो ये कहीं बीच का कोई धार है ये. The objective was very simple. ये zero से restart से पता चलता है. It's this concept of when the world says it's not possible, there's a conviction inside you which says it's possible. And how do you listen to the conviction? That's one. And the second thing I think Vinod strongly believed and believes that once we have attained certain success, each of us, we forget why we started it. कि हमारा क्या है, क्यों गए थे. मैं संगीत इसलिए नहीं बनाया था कि मेरे X number of likes होंगे या Instagram reel होगा. This is not why you started music. Or you wouldn't have started journalism saying कि यार मेरे को यार ये award मिलेगा. It's the love of this craft which is what draws you to it. And he says somewhere down the line we forget that. So zero से restart का concept ये था कि you go back to that innocent conviction of that craft, whatever you do in your life. So my song was going to be an anthem, definitely. But I wanted this like a people's anthem. So 3 of the most popular voices that I have worked with, Shan, Sonu Nigam, Shankara Mahadevan, I said, me and Vinod said, let's do a kind of, let each of them play a role in this film.
And Shreya Ghoshal was there, right?
Shreya Ghoshal was there on the promotion. She's not sung in the song.
Okay.
And Sonand wrote some incredible lyrics. like कविता थी. और इसका बड़ा interesting part है, when IFA में when Vinod got the best director award and he was wondering कि क्या speech देना है मेरे को, and he's not very comfortable giving speeches, so he went on stage and recited this poem. चल जीरो से चलते हैं, चल यार खुद से खुद मिलते हैं, तू हंस के जी या रो के जी, इस उम्र को तुझको जीना है, जो धूप के पीछे भागे वो something whatever. So and that response was stupendous. कि we're in that hall full of successful people from the world of cinema, suddenly was reminded as to why we love cinema by this poetry by Vidhu Vinod Chopra, who had won the Best Director for 12th Film. That also gave an added conviction to Vinod कि यार ये गाने को तो अभी ले जाना है. This is working. And I think that was the journey of my thing was really, I have always done that. And I told you before, last interview also when I was doing with, my benchmark is कहानी क्या है, किरदार क्या है, director क्या बोलना चाहता है, what does he want to say. These 3 things are my milestones. उसको नजरअंदाज रखते हुए I compose a song, and this is exactly what I did for Zero Series Start.
So then, sir, while I loved and everybody loved the song, would you like to please give a few lines of it? Like,
चल जीरो से चलते हैं, चल यार खुद से खुद मिलते हैं, चल जीरो से चलते हैं, अरे यार खुद से खुद मिलते हैं, तू हंस के जी या रो के जी, एक उम्र तो तुझको जीना है, तू झूठ के पीछे भागे, तू हर झूठ को तुझको सहना है. कम बाज तुझे न डरना है, किस बात से इतना डरना है. ये लाइन बड़ा अच्छा है. कल खुशियों में जीते हैं, चल वापस जीरो पे चलते हैं, चल यार खुद से खुद मिलते हैं.
how nice. You of course have worked with Vidhu Vinod Chopra earlier as well in the past.
I've worked with him for 23 years now.
For 23 years. He made a remarkable comeback as a director because the last hit film that he delivered was Mission Kashmir. That was like close to 2 decades ago. You of course have worked with him on IParineeta, on Lage Rao Munna Bhai. Did you experience a more calmer Vidhu Vinod Chopra when you were working on 12th Fail?
This Vidhu Vinod Chopra was absolutely unrecognizable to me. And इसका बहुत बड़ा credit जाता है to a very young team that he had. who had hardly any cinema experience. His editor never was his drone operator. Uh, New camera, production team, young kids. And I think this energy came from there. And I think I also feel that the truth is, and that is what the film is about, he didn't want to do this film, 12th film. He wanted to produce this film. He wanted somebody else. But everybody said कि यार ये कहानी में कुछ नहीं है यार, ये क्या है, नॉर्मल टाइप का स्टोरी है. तो I think he had narrated this story so many times to other directors that now he started living this story. And I think this is the toughest shoot he's been part of. कोई नॉन इंसान नहीं था उसके साथ, सब नए लड़के थे, सब यंग लड़के थे. And hats off to him that he's now 71. At this stage of his life, he actually truly showed us how to restart from zero. And I think the song is also autobiographical. I get a sense. I've never talked to him about this, but I get a sense.
No, you mentioned Sonu Nigam, we recorded with Sonu Nigam as well. Sonu Nigam, in his recent Instagram message, has raised a very important point and expressed his displeasure about politicians and public representatives leaving a cultural performance midway during the 3-day Rising Rajasthan Global Summit in Jaipur. And Sonu added that it was like disrespecting Goddess Saraswati.
I personally believe, forget musical performance. Anybody who goes on stage, forget, let's take Sonu's example only. I know, I'm aware, hours and hours and hours of honing of his skill. बहुत शिद्दत से, मुश्किल से, you reach a place where Sonu Nigam is, that he goes on stage from that experience and hard work and riyaz to present and tell a story. And I think it's really unfair to be, for whatever reason, I can understand if it's an emergency, that's a different matter. But when you go off from there, you don't respect that what has gone behind it, And be it anybody, be it a sportsman who's there giving a talk, something. I know sports lovers. I'm from my friends are in Calcutta, my uncles and aunts. I still remember when Sunil Gavaskar used to bat. If they had to go to the washroom, they would hold on, saying, you know what, धूप में ये लड़का, मेरे को भी याद है, धूप में ये लड़का 82 तक पहुंचा है और मेरे को, मैं इतना नहीं होल्ड कर सकता. It's that emotion. And I think, therefore, I completely agree with Sonu that like it's really unfair that you're just walking around when somebody's performing. I totally agree with him.
Then do you think in India, we need to have, people need to be more aware of and value art and should have what you call music concert etiquettes, like, somebody performing. Like how in states, when you go watch a play, they don't let you in if the performance has started.
There are certain organizations and places in India where you still can't do that. It depends कहाँ हो रहा है ये, क्या माहौल है, क्या नहीं है.
You can't, whoever you are, if you are doing,
NCPA, you can't do that. I know. Gate बंद हो गया तो gate बंद हो गया. People are trying, and I think, look, I genuinely believe यार, हम सब बड़े हो गए हैं, बड़े बड़े घर संभालते हैं, बिजनेस संभालते हैं. हमको क्या टिकट समझ आएगा? हमको खुद की अकल होनी चाहिए. We have to understand everything cannot be spoon fed. I think we have to realize that person has reached on stage because he is extraordinary.
100%. Sonu worships his craft, and I've seen, like, I remember for 8 hours he just doing riyaz. I remember on his birthday he when he was coming here in the Gadi, he was just doing riyaz, and he told us that, a few months ago when I spoke to him, he said, I'm trying to master Rag Shuddh Sarang. I mean, at this stage of his career, he's saying, I'm just trying to master that. So kind of dedication you can see.
I have never seen a vocalist like him. And if you ask me honestly, if you are a music lover like I am, when he starts singing, I would forget everything else and just sit down there. मुझे तो कुछ याद ही नहीं रहेगा. But that's me.
Well, you're right. But sir, then coming back to your music, how much? Tell us about the backstory of Bande Mein Tha Dam. Was that the song you spent the maximum time on?
You're talking about that Munna Bhai MBBS?
Yes.
Lage Raho Munna Bhai?
लगे रहो.
No, ऐसा नहीं है. Maximum time था, but I think that was the most difficult, one of the most difficult songs to crack because of, we were talking about Mahatma Gandhi, and we were talking about Bhai, Rajkumar Hirani, me, Vidhu Vinod Chopra, Swanand Kirkere sitting together, trying to crack the idea of a song talking about Gandhi, but in a Bhai's language. I think that was the toughest task. What took most time is cracking the lines, the lyrics. But I guess from this banter came that line, Bande mein tha dam. That idea of a banda, to call Mahatma Gandhi a banda, which Bhai can only do that. I think that took time. But once we cracked that line, Bande mein tha dam, Vande Mataram, I think I got a grip of the song, what I can do with it. But the first struggle was to get that line.
So, you are, of course, the man behind who composed one of the most popular jingle of the 80s for Uncle Chips, Bole Mere Lips, I love Uncle Chips. But has that ever happened where you have used a music piece from one of your young jingles and used in one of your film songs, or perhaps took inspiration from a jingle?
I'm sure music में कहीं आएगा. Words को तो खैर मेरा होता नहीं है because either a lyricist writes it. But I ad में I think I would have used something from IParineeta or something that I would have probably used in an
Yeah.
ad. Yeah, because उस समय क्या होता था कि when we were doing that, this IParineeta was such a huge musical hit that many of the brands would wanted a riff or something which is memorable. So maybe from the interlude, say kahin pe liya, something like that. I would have done something like that. But usually another thing which happens, what is that you have to keep in mind. When we create songs, as I told you, the entire direction of this kya gana karna hai comes from the script and the story. Now, a IParineeta script would be remarkably different than to a Munna Bhai script, remarkably different to Three Idiots, remarkably different to Sujit Sarkar's October or Udham, whatever. तो माहौल इतना इतना अलग होता है ना कि very rarely is there a need to do that, because when I'm doing something like an Udham or doing an October, उसमें कहाँ से क्या jingle आएगा, it's like that.
But do you remember then
But very important point I'm going to make, which is this, that I 99% times when I'm composing a film song, my brief to myself is I have to think that I'm actually creating a jingle. So ताकि वो memorability 30 second का आता है उसमें zubidubi pampar. If I was doing a jingle, I would come with a line like this. Pal 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 har. These are kind of jinglish kind of lines which I would create. I remember Gulzar ke saath I had done for Yahan Sujit's film. Urzu durukut la la la. So my attitude towards a film song is that I should approach it like a jingle, because I've learned over the years, having done so many jingles, that वो जो preciseness और memorability आती है एक advertising jingle से, that is your biggest weapon.
So then, do you remember the narration of Parinita? It was Pradeep Sarkar's first film, debut film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pradeep Sarkar and I were together working in contract in Delhi. Sam करते थे. I had done Apke Sawan, and he had done the music video for it. And he had, coincidentally, Pradeep Sarkar had done the choreography for, I think, 2 songs in Mission Kashmir. With Vidhu Vinod Chopra, how they had met. And then they had started talking, and Vinod said, तेरे पास कुछ कच्चा कहानी तो बता मेरे को. Then IParineeta, and the interesting thing about that will interest you is that when I was jingle की बात हो रही तो मैं me and Swanand were, तब बाबरामन हो चुका था, and Pradeep Sarkar had loved बाबरामन, and he said कि यार एक jingle है, so please help me make it. So I remember he came in the morning to the studio. तब टाउन में कहीं काम करते थे हम लोग, फेमस में काम करते थे. तो 10 साढ़े 10 बजे 11 बजे he came, briefed us and said I have a couple of meetings, मैं करके आता हूँ, तब तो रेडी कर जिंगल को. तो 1-1.5 घंटे में जिंगल रेडी हो गया, पर भाई अपना ही नहीं था. प्रदीप कहाँ है? नहीं यार मैं आ रहा हूँ. करते I think शाम हो गया, 6:30. I mean, he was stuck in a place, and then he had gone to Film City and all that. तो अब बैठे हुए क्या करना है, तो स्वानंद ने बैठ के ऐसी एक लाइन दिया कि यार रात हो गई थी, तो कहता है रात हमारी तो चांद की सहेली है, कितने दिनों के बाद आई वो के लिए। ऐसे लेटा हुआ था स्टूडियो में बताया, तो मेरे को ये लाइन बड़ा पसंद आया। तो मैंने कहा चल एक काम करता हूँ, उसका मैं कुछ बनाता हूँ, कोई है ही नहीं सुनने के लिए, तो हम दोनों ही बैठे हुए हैं। तो ये करते 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 ये एक गाने का ढांचा बना। फिर 8 साढ़े 8 बजे प्रदीप सरकार वापिस आए, सॉरी वॉरी बोला, ये वो के गाना जिंगल विंगल सुन लिया, ठीक था। कहता यार प्रदीप, तेरे लिए पूरा दिन ही वेट कर रहे थे, एक चीज बनाया सुन ले। तो उसको सुनाइए, रात हमारी तो चांद की सहेली है। तो प्रदीप ने हमको कुछ बताया नहीं, बट एक्चुअली क्या था ना, वो नेक्स्ट डे उसका विनोद चोपड़ा के साथ मीटिंग था, स्क्रिप्टिंग लेके या क्या करना क्या है, वो ये गाना लेके गया उसके पास। एंड दैट्स हाउ विनोद फर्स्ट गॉट टू नो अबाउट अस कि हम ये काम कर रहे हैं। लव्ड दिस सॉन्ग, कच्चा बटा ही सॉन्ग था, वो कंपनी नहीं था, बट आइडिया उसको मिला। And I think that was the most incredible journey. I mean, to be honest with you, that I'm so happy you asked this question. I am who I am because of Pradeep Sarkar. अगर वो आदमी मेरे को दिल्ली से विज्ञापन की दुनिया से खींच के नहीं लेके आता, और हमेशा ऐसे ही था, वो विज्ञापन भी मेरे को, he pushed me to do advertising. I was in client servicing. He used to push me to do advertising. He would push me to do albums, which I did with Shobha Mudgal, Apke Sawan. And he is the guy who pushed Vidhu Vinod Chopra कि यार ये लड़का कुछ अलग है, इसे ट्राई करो। एंड टुडे आई रियली मिस हिम प्रदीप, बिकॉज आज जो मेरा और विनोद का जो फ्रेंडशिप है, उसका एक बहुत बड़ा एक कंट्रीब्यूशन प्रदीप सरकार का है।
But how then this Ratiya, Kali Kali Ratiya came in? These
रतिया इज अगेन, ये स्वानंद का, ये एक फोक बैकग्राउंड है उसका, इंदौरी एक थिंकिंग है। आई वांटेड, प्रदीप सरकार वांटेड कि यार मैं बंगाल दिखा रहा हूं, तो वो जो एक फोकिश फ्लेवर होता है, भटियाली जो एस डी बर्मन करते थे पहले, वहां कौन है तेरा मुसाफिर, मेरे को ऐसा एक बिगिनिंग चाहिए। एंड दैट्स व्हेन स्वानंद रोड, एंड स्वानंद खुद इतना अच्छा गाता है, तो हमने कहा कि अब तो अपने आवाज में ही करते हैं, बाद में चेंज कर देंगे। वो बाद में कभी चेंज हुआ ही नहीं, बिकॉज ही वाज सो ब्यूटीफुल कि जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ा वो चेंज करने के लिए।
would you like to give us few lines of?
रतिया कारी कारी रतिया, रतिया अंधियारी रतिया, रात हमारी तो चांद की सहेली है, कितने दिनों के बाद आई वो अकेली है।
Wow.
या
Gives goosebumps each time this line comes. You hear these. But then staying with Bengal, you also composed music last year for the film Mujib, The Making of Nation. That's a film directed by Shyam Benegal. Now, Shyam Benegal is in his late 80s today.
करेक्ट।
And he's been making films for last over 50 years. What was your biggest takeaway from that film and working with Shyam Benegal?
दिस इज माय आई थिंक फोर्थ फिल्म विद श्याम बेनेगल। आई डन वेलकम टू सज्जनपुर, वेल डन अब्बा, आई डन अ टेलीविजन सीरीज विद हिम, एंड दिस। एक यार वो आदमी, वो अलग ही है, मतलब कि क्या बताएं, ही इज एन encyclopedia. he can talk about he can talk about speedboats, he can talk about international space station, and he can talk about how local women in Himachal have a different technique of holding their knitting needle than anybody else in the country. ये लास्ट ऑफ द मोहिकन्स है, जो पढ़े लिखे हैं, पढ़ाई पढ़ाई किया है, किताबें चाट चुके हैं, इंटेलेक्चुअल्स है, दैट्स व्हाट वी अंडरस्टैंड। सो इट वाज, मैं तो उनके साथ, मेरे तो मजे की याद है, आई जस्ट गो देयर टू सिट डाउन एंड लिसन टू हिम कि ये है वो है, हिज इनसाइट इनटू पॉलिटिक्स, दिस दैट। सो मुजीब के समय इट वाज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली ही हैड डन हिज रिसर्च एंड ही टॉक्ड अबाउट इट। क्या है म्यूजिक का बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग नजरिया उनका, जो मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाहता हूँ, जो मैंने किसी और के नहीं देखा है, वो है, वो एक ब्रीफ देते हैं धुन का, और ब्रीफ देने के बाद एक एक दिशा दिखाते हैं कि ये मैं, दिस इज हाउ आई वांट दिस सॉन्ग इन द फिल्म, दिस व्हाटएवर। उसके बाद वो बिल्कुल इन्वॉल्व नहीं होते। अब वो कहते हैं कि तुम मुझे गाना बना के दिखाओ, मैं गाने को सुन के फिर मैं रिएक्ट करके मैं अपनी चीजें में डालूंगा, क्योंकि मैं म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर नहीं हूं. आई डोंट वांट टू push you to a place which I'm not aware of. You give me something. My job is a storyteller and a visualizer. I will react to the song and make stuff. तो ये जो incredible freedom देते हैं वो कि आप बनाएं based on this brief. And rest I don't want. I'm not concerned what you do. I think it's a very unique way of working. I've never seen anybody working like this.
But
And
then, do
but
you do additional research when you're working on a period
big
drama?
time, big time, big time. In fact, and not just ये तो मेरा एक hey, when a concept he had that when I was doing this Udham also, I had read a lot. The director wants or does not want, that's a different matter. That's my own homework. शायद इसलिए मैं कम film करता हूँ, because you know one thing great about movies is कि it's my quickest way of learning different subjects in college. कि आज हमने chemistry किया, कल हमने physics किया, आज biology किया. तो ये जो biographies होते हैं उसमें बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है. Composing a tune is the least of the problem. Who am I composing for? कौन है, माहौल क्या था, क्या स्टेट ऑफ माइंड था, कहां से आया था, कहां जा रहा है, सिचुएशन क्या था, ये सब जानने के लिए थोड़ा पढ़ा लिखा तो चाहिए. एंड व्हेन यू वर्किंग विद श्याम बेनेगल, इट बिकम्स इजी बिकॉज़ उनको जुबानी सब कुछ याद है. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स ही हैज मेट मोस्ट ऑफ दिस कैरेक्टर्स. इट्स नॉट जस्ट अ बुकिश लैंग्वेज कि यार मैं जब उनसे मिला था तो वो मुझे कह रहे थे, या जब ब्रेकफास्ट पे मिला था वो बात कर रहे हैं फिदेल कास्ट्रो की, वो बात कर रहे हैं साउथ अफ्रीकन प्रेसिडेंट की, या वो बात कर रहे हैं बॉब डिलन की. ये आदमी उन सबसे मिला है. तो जब वो बयां करते हैं कि मैं जब उनसे मिला था मेरी ये बात हुई थी और मुझे मेरा सेंस ये था कि दिस इज व्हाट वाज हिज स्टेट ऑफ माइंड, दैट हेल्प्स मी अ लॉट टू कंपोज because then I have more information.
So then, how do you blend traditional and contemporary music when you're working on a period film?
It was very easy for me for Mujib because 80% traditional था और 20% contemporary था. Contemporary मैंने as in the brief was कि यार ऐसा भी संगीत ना हो कि आज के बच्चे बोले कि यार ये क्या है, हमको समझ ही नहीं आ रहा. तो अगर लोक संगीत भी प्रेजेंट किया जा रहा है तो it had certain contemporary elements in it, so that people can relate to it. But क्या है ना, when you're talking about Mujib and the background is Bangladesh, that land is so rich in music कि it's a palette which is like आप क्या लो, it's like suddenly आप एक high end buffet में जाते हैं, आपको समझ नहीं आता क्या छोड़ेंगे क्या लेंगे. So Bangladesh music is like that, and I had a really incredible time creating palettes from that folk music of Bengal.
So then, I have to ask you, are you more inclined towards Rabindra Sangeet or Nazrul Giti?
Both actually. The interesting part is both were composers, तो मेरा उसमें कोई interest नहीं है. Both were writers. पर मुझे क्या ना, what I interest me primarily is that both of them created not only for entertainment but to ignite minds. और मैं हमेशा ये बिलीव करता हूँ कि entertainment cannot be just, मैंने कोई भी संगीत या सिनेमा या थिएटर का सिर्फ मूल आधार entertainment नहीं हो सकता. That is an important aspect of it. बट कहीं पे एक बात कहना बहुत जरूरी है. जो आवाम नहीं कह रहा वो आर्ट कह सकता है, वो बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है.
Then, do you have a favorite Bengali song that you perhaps loved while growing up?
আমি চিনি গো চিনি তোমারে, ও গো বিদেশিনী, তুমি থাকো সিন্ধু পারে, ও গো বিদেশিনী, ও গো বিদেশিনী.
Well, I just want to thank you again for
My
giving
pleasure.
us चल जीरो से शुरू करते हैं the music of Zero से
Thank
restart.
you. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to lots more in the new
बिल्कुल.
year. Thank you so much for your time, sir, and all the best.
And हो सके तो go and see the film. You'll enjoy it.
I
Go
will.
with the family. Okay.
Sure.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.